In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we're expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at advertise@k98talk.org. The leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can, we're Americans.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show on K98 Talk. Now, here's Grouchy.
Good evening, everybody. Great to be back with you. Happy Wednesday. You just finished listening to America Off the Rails with the rowdy one, Rick Robinson. And if you didn't, you should have been. So let's just go there. And where is my intern with my damn pane of glass? I want to break some glass again. Everybody knows I break glass every Wednesday night. There he is. Come on, bring it out. Bring it out. Now set it down. Hey, stupid, look at it. You got to turn it so I can throw the ball through it, not across it. Thank you. Okay. So everybody's been going on about the Democrat debate. Well, let me give you my 2 cents on it because that's about all that I've really got for you. Quite frankly, if it had sucked anymore, it would have been sponsored by Hoover and Dyson. And that's about all I want to say about it. Okay? Moving on. We'll talk about some important shit for a change. So we got this thing in our country that the federal government has been working on for decades and decades and decades. And it got addressed by Congressman Dave Bratt. And if you don't know who Dave Bratt is, he's the guy that single-handedly kicked the establishment GOP in the crotch, 2 years ago now, when he unseated Eric Cantor out of Virginia, the ruling House Majority Leader, and just basically dethroned the establishment. So, but this thing that Dave Bratt's talking about that the government has been amassing for years and years and years is our national debt. So, interest payments on this debt and entitlement spending as required by law, according to Dave Bratt, is going to create a quote-unquote major financial crisis in 11 years. He said, we have a guaranteed financial crisis coming up in law in 11 years. Now, Bratt said in response to criticism of his and other conservative representatives' apparent reluctance to compromise on some issues, and Dave says that we're missing the American people. He said, go poll the American people. You want to know what my response is to these people that think that we're being inflexible is? He said, I follow the American people. So, you got the moron, Chuck Todd, who said to Dave Bratt, he said, Congressman Bratt, you're a member of the Freedom Caucus. What is it that you want, and what is it that Speaker Boehner, Kevin McCarthy, and Eric Cantor haven't delivered? So Bratt's reply, right, well, they all ran on a pledge to America. And they, just like 72% of the folks out there in the real world, say we make these promises when we run, but then we get up here and we're called unrealistic by the kind of Washington establishments and that live in the bubble up here. And what we want is what the American people want, said Bratt. We have $19 trillion in debt. We have $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities. All federal revenues will be spent in 11 years on just entitlement programs and interest on the debt. Listen to that. We have $19 trillion in debt and $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities. All federal revenues will be on just entitlement programs and interest on the debt. Bratt says there will not be $1 left for the military, not for education, transportation, and all of the running of all of the government. Folks, that's a bleak picture for just 11 years down the road. Later in the program, Bratt spoke more of his view of an inevitable financial crisis in response to suggestions from talk radio host Hugh Hewitt and Washington Post columnist Eugene Robinson that Bratt and his conservative allies were unreasonable in their policy demands. Hewitt said to both Bratt and Representative Charlie Dent from Pennsylvania, who was also on the Sunday morning program, a pox on both your wings. I'm very desperately hoping that Paul Ryan is praying about and that he accepts this. And here's my question. Yesterday, a Russian jet was set down in Turkey. Yesterday, almost 100 people were killed in Turkey. The world is on fire. How dare you, with the American people waiting for leadership, paralyze the House? Still haven't heard a question, Mr. Hewitt. Not that I disrespect your point of view. No question. Says you have to, Charlie. You both have on CNN and blasting David. And David, there are like 50 of you and your people The Freedom Caucus is like 15 people, which it isn't. It's more like 40 people. Paul Ryan is liked by 225 Republicans. Get with the program, guys. Bratt replied, how do you know we're not on the program? I mean, you're dropping pox. So Hewitt responds, will you support Paul Ryan? If he wins a conference vote, will you support his agenda? We have a constitution as a country. I got 5 policy principles and 5 processes, Bratt said. Hewitt interrupted. It's not a hard question. Will you support Paul Ryan's agenda? Well, if you'd let me answer, it'd be easier, said Bratt. I've got 5 policies on my webpage and 5 processes. If he goes with that, we're going to give him a strong look. If we want to enter... So Hewitt interrupts him again and says, you're holding the caucus hostage. Bratt replies, that's DC speak, and it's crazy. Dent then explained that he would support Ryan for Speaker. The answer is yes, I will support Paul Ryan, but Paul Ryan is also a very smart man, said Dent, which leaves me some doubts about Dent. The underlying government and political dynamic of the House has not changed. Paul Ryan, if he becomes Speaker, and Dent says, I hope he does, what will happen is he will have to make accommodations and collaborate with the Democrats to pass a debt ceiling, to pass a budget agreement, and an omnibus appropriations bill. Dent went on to express further frustration with other conservatives in the House of Representatives. If Ryan does those things, he will have his legs taken out by some of his own members, said Dent. We all know that. Now, if he chooses to go through the status quo with the status quo, did he really say that twice? Then the House will continue to be mired in this paralysis and the institution will be weaker. The Speaker will be weaker. He's going to have the same problems that Boehner had and Kevin McCarthy was about to experience. Chuck Todd then returned to Washington Post columnist Eugene Robinson for a question. He says, all right, Gene Robinson, fire. And he comes with, Congressman Bratt, your litany of complaints about the Obama years, Obamacare, immigration, and all the things that you complained about illustrate that you cannot set the national agenda from the House of Representatives. Said Robinson, you simply cannot, and it cannot be done, said the columnist. You have to win the White House. Are you not, with the Freedom Caucus, essentially making it less likely that there will be a Republican president elected next year, and thus less likely that you'll be able to set the national agenda? Finally, a question from a reporter. It's not that hard, really. Bratt's reply, no, absolutely not. I mean, we have a pox on both of us coming from D.C., talking heads, and then I'm supposed to, Bratt said, and Todd interjected, in defense of Hugh, he does live out in California. Like that's supposed to be cute or something. Bratt continued, what everybody up here is missing are the objective economic numbers. The numbers, the hard numbers, the numbers that we keep going over week in and week out. When I tell you about how many people are unemployed, when I tell you that they've frozen the debt clock so that it won't accumulate past the legal ceiling. And Bratt says what we're missing are the hard, objective economic numbers, and we have a financial crisis in law coming up in 11 years, and we're missing the American people and their concern over it. Dave Bratt is absolutely correct on this, folks. It does not take a genius when you sit down and look at the numbers and figure out what's going to have to happen. Okay? Right now, we're in a point where basically we can flush all the entitlement money out there. And we still can't fix this problem. So what does that mean? If we get rid of all the entitlements and we scale government back to the bare bones, I mean cut the back strap till the spine is showing, and we still can't cover our unfunded liabilities. Where do you think that money's going to come from? We're already up to our eyeballs in Chinese debt. They're going to call their marker in. It's going to happen. People, if we don't start now, we won't ever get there. Washington has kicked the can down the road far, far too long. Don't take my word for it. Just don't. Do the research. Look at the debt. Look at the unfunded liabilities for entitlement programs. Okay? Do the research. The reason you listen to my show is because you're smart. I trust you to do this. Use your head and think for yourself. You're going to find out we're in a world of hurt already. This is something I've known and been preaching on for a couple of years now. I haven't had the show for a couple of years, but I've been preaching on this for a couple of years. So now we're going to move on to the next page. And we're going to talk about the hypocritical racism of the left. Yeah, I know we all like to point it out and poke and prod at it, but recently, a whole bunch of fair-minded people have become disgusted with GQ columnist Drew Maggary's vile denunciation of Ben Carson and his comments on the Oregon shooting. But it really shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody familiar with the leftist vulgarity and double standards. Not only did GQ print the post in which Maggary wrote, "Fuck him," but also titled the piece, "Fuck Ben Carson." I mean, really, where's the civility and the tolerance and the quote-unquote intellectual left? Oh, yeah, and where's the racial sensitivity that we get accused of ignoring on the right all the time? GQ even tweeted a link to the column, which means it wanted people to see it. Well, of course, because they think it's going to help circulation. So why not take the old expression, the only bad press is no press? Yeah. Or there's no such thing as bad press. Yeah, I've heard that one too. But anyway, it is what it is. It's out there. And of course, Ben Carson, being the man that he is, took the high road. And, I'm sure it bothered him a little bit, as well it should. But he's not going to cry foul and play the victim card. But can you imagine the outcry if a conservative similarly described a black liberal politician in a prominent publication? And I would love to go into the Washington Examiner and write a piece called "Fuck Elijah Cummings." I think Elijah Cummings is probably, stay Hank Johnson, the dumbest man in Congress. I mean, you got to do some work to take the title of dumbest man in Congress away from the guy that thought an island was going to tip over if we parked a Navy ship on one end of it. I'm sorry, you got work to do to get there, Elijah, but you're pretty damn stupid. But can you imagine how the liberal heads would explode if Hugh Hewitt said that about Barack Obama? Or if Ben Shapiro said that about Barack Obama? Or even Valerie Jarrett, for that matter? The context of the quote is not mitigating. Maggary also wrote, the only thing more alarming than Donald Trump leading the Republican presidential field is the fact that Ben Carson is the guy right behind him. The good doctor made it clear this week that he is not only willing to replicate Trump's signature brand of hot garbage spewing, but he'll even say dumber shit. He did everything but come out and throw down the N-word. Liberals, their heads are exploding over Carson's comments on the shooting. Not because he said anything wrong, but because he doesn't toe the liberal line on gun control. Well, what made him think he would? He doesn't really toe the liberal line on much of anything. And let's stop right here for a minute, too, because this has been somewhere that Ben Carson has gotten stronger with Second Amendment rights, because it hasn't been that long ago that Ben Carson thought the Second Amendment rights to American citizens should be conditional. Okay, so we do have a little flip-flop here from Carson. Is he saying that to draw more conservative hardliners behind him? I don't know. I don't know Carson well enough. The one opportunity I had to see him speak in person, he stayed away from anything really political and stayed real-life anecdotal. So I don't have a lot to base an opinion of Carson on, other than the fact that he passed on the opportunity for an interview with me, speak about anything political at the Southern Republican Leadership Conference, only personal, and that he's flip-flopped on 2A rights. Now, I can see where a lot of people could have a problem with somebody like that. I don't support a specific candidate yet, and I'm not going to yet. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to watch the primaries. That's what we have them for. So if you're an idiot out there that's tweeting at me, if you don't support this candidate, you need to unfollow me. Please address it to me directly so I make sure that I get the unfollow correct. Because if we can't be friends because I'm not going to blindly follow somebody just because you do, well, then to hell with you. Let's use our heads, okay? The left always claims to be the intelligent group in the politics. Let's show them how wrong they are. Okay? So, back to Carson's comments and him not towing the liberal line on gun control. More than this, it's that he's black and rejects the liberal dogma. Oh my God, he's black. Who knew? Even worse, he's running for president on a platform that expressly condemns that dogma and offers a better way. Now, why in the hell would anybody want to offer a better way? I mean, don't we know that we're on the right spectrum? Politically speaking, we're to the right of center, so we're all dumb, and we should just shut up and accept the left's way because they know what's best for everybody. Right? How dare you try to think and present ideas different to what the left says is the way. And worst of all, the left hates that his campaign is resonating. And this just can't be happening to them. The most troublesome aspect of all this phony flap is that the left's delusional double standard on race. Liberals can slander a black person with impunity because the leftist culture says liberals are incapable of racism. And no evidence, not even a smoking gun, can overcome this presumption. But conservatives are presumed racists and have the burden of proving otherwise, even if they don't say anything at all, much less something that could be distorted into a comment unfavorable to minorities. Now, most of you listening already know that I am a minority. I'm multiracial. God forbid, a conservative multiracial. So what's maddening to these liberals is that, much like Carson, I don't toe their plantation mentality either. I won't pull that line. I won't plow their field. I've worked hard for everything I've earned in this life, and I'm not rich, but I'm not poor either. and I live a good life. What's maddening is that many liberals actually believe this insanity. I've learned in various personal encounters that others know it's not true, but cynically use it for political purposes. In a television debate with Eric Bolling, Geraldo Rivera made this point, saying, I think that in Dr. Ben Carson's case, the people are not reacting to him as a black man, but are reacting to ideas like the Garden of Eden is the literal place that existed long, long ago, and that there is no such thing as evolution. To run for president of the United States and to believe in creationism as opposed to evolution is kind of weird. Rivera said that. Jerry Rivers. So let's put that statement from Geraldo aside for a minute, that it's weird to believe that God created the universe and mankind, though it is duly noted, and focus on his casual assertion that people aren't being rude, crude, or demeaning towards Carson because he's black. Ordinarily, I'd accept that statement because I believe that liberals who insult Carson mainly can't stand him because he's conservative, not because he's black. But seeing as they've established the standard, let's hold them to it. It particularly galls them when minorities reject liberalism. Boy, does it ever. It's reasonable to infer there's a bit of condensation at play, or condescension, not condensation. Sorry, I'm in the South. Everything condensates down here. But a bit of condescension at play here because to believe blacks must be liberal is to suggest that they are or should be monolithic creatures and that those who deviate are somehow inferior. Many leftists apparently believe that conservative blacks have forfeited any right to be insulted, including on racial terms. You don't have to look any further than leftist cartoonists depicting Condoleezza Rice as a parrot on George W. Bush's arm. As one commentator described, quote, a semi-literate mammy with big lips and buck teeth. Or a liberal talk show host calling her Aunt Jemima. But if you want to look further, you may recall Joe Biden's reference to Barack Obama as a clean, bright, and articulate black man who didn't sound like he was from the ghetto. You know, it would be easy to just let the ugly side take over, but I'm not a Geraldo Rivera hater. Okay, and he's even said some things over the years that I've agreed with, and even fewer things that I have even liked. But these comments are just absolutely appalling. And it's not that he assumed liberals aren't attacking Carson because he's black, but his obvious implication that Republicans, in criticizing Obama, are racially motivated. Indeed, many liberals have insisted that conservatives criticize Obama because he's black, not because he's orchestrating the wholesale destruction of America. In my view, there's no question that Rivera sincerely believes that many conservatives, by virtue of their conservatism, are racist, both towards blacks and towards Hispanics. But his sincerity doesn't make his wrong-headed beliefs true. And as a Hispanic, I vouch for that. I've long believed that if Republicans could make inroads into the pernicious liberal lie that their principled opposition to democratic statism is based on race, the entire political landscape would change overnight. That is why many liberals who know better will keep fanning these flames of hatred and continue slandering black conservatives, especially those they deem a threat to their hold on power and the plantation mentality. Now, folks, we're at the bottom of the hour. It's time to take a break. And we're going to come back in about 2 minutes. And we're going to continue on with our next page, which will be Obama and his waffling. So stay tuned, and we're going to bring the heat when we come back in about 2 minutes.
That America, you and me, ain't that America? Something to see, baby, ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
According to me and Bunny, their show's not big. It's huge!
Mr. Trump, what are your thoughts on how should we go about making sure we can protect innocent life in this country?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, you know, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
Donald, question right over here. What are you going to do as president in regards to Common Core? What actions are you going to take?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, you know, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
That is like he can say that for anything.
Yes! It's just insert issue.
A lot of things.
Donald, what are we going to do for lunch?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, you know, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
It's According to Me and Bunny, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on K98 Talk.
If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
The feeling most people get when they hear a Barack Obama speech, I felt this thrill going up my leg. I mean, I don't have that too often.
Steady.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. Ricky Robinson, host of America Off the Rails, will tackle the important issues facing America today as he tries to keep America from coming off the track. Get ready to hear the truth every Monday through Friday starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, and Eastern and 11 Central here on K98Talk.com and the Spark Radio Network.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
Oh, but ain't that America? For you and me, ain't that America? Something to see, baby, ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
All right, well, welcome back. We are live from my house to yours. So anyway, yeah, feel like an idiot. That's okay. So anyway, we're going to deal with, thank you. We're going to deal with President Obama and his waffling, or as a wise man corrected me earlier, since this is related to Syria, we could call it falafeling. So anyway, Barack Obama now says that he never believed in the $500 million program to train and equip the moderate Syrian opposition. Well, Mr. President, why the hell did we spend $500 million doing it then? You know, that money could have been applied to actually fix something or help fix something, you know, important, like, I don't know, maybe the VA scandal. Maybe the fact that veterans are dying waiting for treatment and the problem has gotten worse since your administration has tackled the problem. I don't know, something important like that maybe. So anyway, the administration last week halted the failed program. Okay, so yeah, we've had enough of this crap. We've spent $500 million and we've trained fewer than 100 Syrians. Really? Fewer than 100. Fewer than 100 for $500 million. And all but 4 or 5 whom deserted or died after the Americans tried to turn them into anti-ISIS fighters. So in Obama's 60 Minutes interview the other night, he says, quote, "This is why I've been skeptical from the get-go about the notion that we were going to effectively create this proxy army inside Syria," Obama said to Steve Kroft of 60 Minutes. He continued by saying, "My goal has been to try to establish to test the proposition, can we be able to train and equip a moderate opposition?" Where the hell did this guy go to college? Who speaks like that? Can we be able to train and equip a moderate opposition that's going to fight ISIL? And I hate the word ISIL. I'm not saying it anymore. I don't care if he says it or not. I'm going to change his quotes. I refuse to acknowledge a map of the world in which Israel is not a part of. And that's what the L in ISIS is for, when he replaces the S at the end with an L. Thank you, Mr. Producer. You are dead on spot with that. I can't repeat it, but you're dead spot on. But anyway, the L in that word is for Levant, and that refers to a map of the Middle East in which Israel is not a part of. I will not say that anymore. To hell with Barack Obama and anybody else that promotes that crap. So, he continued saying, and what we've learned is that as long as Assad remains in power, it is very difficult to get those folks to focus their attention on ISIS. So Croft says, if you were so skeptical, why did you do it? And I really wish that I had Jason here to read these Barack Obama parts, because that would be fantastic. Unfortunately, he and Bunny are getting ready for their show coming up in about 20 minutes. So, make sure you stay tuned after me for According to Me and Bunny, because those guys rock. But anyway, Obama says, well, because part of what we have to do here, Steve, is to try different things. Because we haven't wasted enough money already. We had to try spending some more, because if we can get $10 million per Syrian for training, and all but 4 or 5 of them don't die, then, we tried. Right? We gave it the old Harvard try, or the Columbia try, or wherever the hell he allegedly went to school. But anyway, because we also have partners on the ground that are invested and interested in seeing some sort of resolution of this problem, I think it is important for us to make sure that we explore all the various options that are available. Hey, here's an option. Hillary just ignored the call at 3 o'clock in the morning. You could have tried that. Dumbass. So Croft tells Obama, if you're expected to train 5,000 men, you only end up with 5. It's not just a miscalculation. It's an embarrassment. Hey, maybe Croft isn't so bad after all, right? Anyway, Obama says, look, there's no doubt that it did not work. And one of the challenges that I've had throughout this heartbreaking situation inside of Syria is that you'll have people insist that, all you have to do is send in a few truckloads full of arms, and then people are ready to fight. And then when you start to train and equip and the program doesn't work, then people say, well, why didn't it work? Or if you had just started 3 months earlier, it would have worked. But you said yourself you never believed in this, Croft replied. Obama responded that in a situation as volatile as the one in Syria, there aren't any silver bullets. And this is precisely why I've been very clear that America's priority has to be, number one, keeping the American people safe. Number two, we are prepared to work both diplomatically and where we can support moderate opposition that can convince the Russians and the Iranians to put pressure on Assad for a transition. Now let's just stop right there, because we know now that Putin has already amassed Russian troops that are bolstering Assad, not pressuring Assad. This goes to the very point of where Obama was asked if he felt that his leadership was being challenged. And Obama said that he didn't see a challenge to his leadership because he was leading on important issues like climate change. Never mind that the world being on fire politically and militarily might cause some global warming. He's worried about the weather. And again, you know what? Obama is absolutely right on one thing, though. Putin did not challenge his authority. He simply walked into the room, grabbed the authority, and walked out. There was no damn challenge. Now, it's the middle of October, okay? It's getting to be that time. Maybe Barack Obama can talk his wife into going down, since she likes to shop at Target so much, she can go down to Target and put a spine and a pair of testicles on layaway for him for Christmas. I have never seen a president so weak. Seen an American president that can fold like a cheap chair, buckle like a cheap belt, and cower. Absolutely cower. Like the proverbial 98-pound weakling when he's getting sand kicked in his face at Muscle Beach. If there was ever the epitome of a man being a bitch, it is Barack Obama. And what are we going to do? Nothing. We're absolutely going to do nothing because there's nothing we can do at this point. You can't impeach him at this point. The process would take longer than what he has left in office. The Republicans in D.C. aren't going to fight him because they're folding like cheap chairs just like Obama does everywhere else. But he doesn't fold that way domestically at home with Republicans. I wonder why. So Obama said the U.S., with its air campaign, with its nearly non-existent air campaign, has been able to stall the momentum of ISIS and retake some of the land ISIS seized in Iraq and defend some of the Iraqi cities they threatened. Now, as far as I know, Obama's referring to about 3 acres of land just to the north and west. Is it west? North and west? Yeah, north and west of Baghdad. We haven't taken anything. We've run 26 bombing missions in the last 3 weeks. Russia ran more than that on Monday. But Obama, man, he's got it. He's so smooth. He's doing it the diplomatic way. He doesn't want to flex too much. He's afraid those 5-pound dumbbells from his exercise video might smack somebody in the head. What we haven't been able to do, said Obama, and I'll be the first to acknowledge this, is to change the dynamic inside of Syria. And the goal here has been to find a way in which we can help moderate opposition on the ground. But we've never been under any illusion that militarily we ourselves can solve the problem inside of Syria. And see, this is the problem with President Spineless, with President Jellyfish here. We could militarily solve the problem. And if we don't, Russia's going to use their military and solve Assad's problem, which will end our problem because there won't be any opposition for us to train or arm or give money to or waste money on or anything else over there. President Sugar Britches needs to pull his head out of his rectum. So who's going to get rid of ISIS terrorists, Croft asked the president. And this is great. I love this. Obama replies, over time, the community of nations will all get rid of them, and we will be leading getting rid of them. But we are not going to be able to get rid of them unless there is an environment inside of Syria and in portions of Iraq in which local populations, local Sunni populations, are working in a concerted way with us to get rid of them. Are you kidding me? This is the dumbest damn thing that I've ever heard a president say. And I've heard some pretty dumb things from presidents. So in this same vein, the theme continued on with National Security Advisor Tom Donilon appearing on Face the Nation Sunday morning. And Donilon admitted that the train and equip program was, quote unquote, a serious failure. Donilon said, we need to look very hard at what happened, and I think that the policy needs a refocus and needs to be re-energized across a number of dimensions. But this capacity building issue is a broader issue for the United States. Now let's just stop here for a minute. Is anybody else out there sick of the male bovine excrement answers that these professional policy people are always giving to reporters and to people asking straight up questions? Why don't they just answer the damn question? Quit trying to sound smarter than they are and give an answer. Donilon continued, how do we provide the help to countries to be able to do these projects on their own? And this was obviously a serious, serious failure. Re-energize and refocus, though, he said, I think we need to put together a serious campaign in the north against ISIS' so-called capital of Raqqa. And I think we need to look at the safe haven issue. Hey, why don't you do that here in the United States? Safe haven or sanctuary cities, whatever the hell you want to call them. But anyway, back to Iraq and Syria. We need to re-energize a more effective air campaign. We need to cut off financing. There are a lot of things we need to have happen here, but this is a serious failure. Well, no kidding. No kidding. So basically, they're going to drop back 10, punt, and try to figure out what to do from here because they don't have a damn clue. And why is that? Because he's surrounded by idiots who never had real jobs, much like him, don't know the first thing about foreign policy, much like him. And I mean, for the most part, I've always called Obama the perpetual amateur. The same thing could be applied to his entire administration, with the exception of Hillary Clinton's tenure in his administration. And she's not the perpetual amateur. She's the one pro. Yeah, she is the one pro out of his administration. Now, that doesn't mean we should have been listening to her, but she's, even as a first lady, she was involved in politics, so she's not the amateur that Obama is. Okay, so anyway, they're stumped over there on this, and we're not going to see any progress on this. I guarantee you, Russia's going to rule the day in the Middle East again, and it's been 40 years since Russia was a force in the Middle East. Anyway, the big fun over the weekend came at the No Labels event. A female audience member named Lauren Batchelder played the role of a female antagonist towards candidate Donald Trump. However, Miss Batchelder is not just an average audience member. She's a paid political operative of the GOP and a paid staff member of Team Jeb Bush. Within minutes of her scripted performance at the event, the producers of CNN were quickly editing sound bites and framing a narrative. The story was pushed into the media stream within hours, and CNN's Jean Moose was the delivery vehicle for the hit piece. However, as previously noted, it didn't take long to discover that Batchelder was not just an ordinary audience member and that she is a current staffer for Senator Kelly Ayotte, also working in New Hampshire on behalf of the Jeb Bush campaign. Batchelder's LinkedIn profile shows that she is a Jeb Bush for President 2016 staffer. And given Senator Ayotte's position being pro-life, and contrasted against the framework of Ms. Batchelder's line of questioning being completely opposite of her bosses she is working for, it doesn't take long to figure out that this was a planted establishment GOP hit targeting Donald Trump. I am not a big Trump fan, okay? I'm not, so don't think I'm white knighting for Trump here. These are the facts. Batchelder quickly began scrubbing her social media history, trying to hide who she works for. Almost all of her Twitter history is now deleted, but not before much of it was able to be captured, and several other profiles remain. From her Facebook profile, it appears Batchelder has quite a history as a thespian. And there are links out there that have many of her deleted tweets saved. And not surprisingly, most of them are disparaging towards Trump and Carson. It is amazingly pathetic how a rhino caucus has to operate in order to try to eliminate political opposition. This is only mildly different. Well, okay, it's moderately different. I'll go moderately. This is only moderately different than what the IRS was doing to Republican and conservative organizations. This is an embarrassing fail on behalf of the establishment GOP, and in particular Jeb Bush. And there are even some Florida GOP staffers that say he's contemplating dropping out. Now, I don't believe that for a minute. I think that maybe they're trying to see if there's any sympathy for him out there, if anything at all. But this current fail exemplifies how the broadcast media, specifically CNN, is willing to assist the Republicans' cause when there is a mutual benefit to the elimination of an enemy. However, it is also further evidence of the entire construct of the Bush alliance. There are several candidates remaining in this race, allegedly specifically, to assist Jeb Bush and help him win the nomination. Now, I don't agree with all of these, but some of them I can see in Gilmore, Pataki, Graham, Kasich, even Christie, even Chris Christie. I don't see that kind of dirty pool coming from Mike Huckabee. However, I could be wrong. Maybe I misjudge his character a little bit. I don't see this from Fiorina at all. And Rubio is a coin toss. I'll give him 50-50 chance of being in or being out. A vote for any of these fraud candidates will only result in a later endorsement of Jeb Bush, blah, 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 and the transference of delegates to assist his nomination efforts. And this is, what some people are saying. This is not my opinion. The 2016 plan is similar in many ways to how Mitt Romney was able to win the nomination in 2012. If you remove Donald Trump, Ben Carson becomes Herman Cain, Ted Cruz becomes Newt Gingrich, and Jeb Bush replaces Mitt Romney. It's all by design, they say. All of it. And the only thing standing between Team Jeb and achieving this outcome is... Anyway, it doesn't really matter. The GOP apparatus is going to use every trick that they can deploy to oust Trump. Okay, it's the primaries. Go at him on his political message. Okay, I don't have a problem with that. I think Trump is weak in a lot of areas politically, and he should be cooked for it. But don't go after him the way they did at Chris McDaniel in Mississippi back in 2014. Don't turn this into that kind of crap. All right, folks, time for me to wrap it up. I hope I provided some good info for you tonight. I want you to use your head, do your own research. I want you to also stay tuned, because coming up right after this commercial break in a minute is going to be According to Me and Bunny with Jason DeWilkins and Polita Bunny, my friends, my comrades, and they're just damn funny. And you're going to have a great time listening. So stay tuned, sit back. You got plenty of time. There's nothing good on TV on Wednesday anyway. Enjoy your night with K98 Talk. And I'll be back with you next week. God bless.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me. Ain't that America? Something to see, baby.